Sooners of Oklahoma at 12-0 and still looking for respect nationwide.
What is going on, Sooner Nation? Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Barry and Mac Show. As always, myself, Barry, personal trainer, sports forms coach out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and alongside me, former Sooner wide receiver, 2000 national champ, Mr. Damian Mackey. How are we doing tonight, D-Mac?
I'm proud to be a Sooner today, bro. Proud to be a Sooner today, man. Twitter was smacking. I saw you jumped over there a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I got a little community over there. We'll be smacking. If you guys want to go check it out, Game Time. It's hilarious. People will be joking, but also talking a ton of football. Chess match. We're going to talk scheme. We're going to talk our offense versus their defense, and then their defense versus our offense. We're going to talk situational football today. But I think the most important thing to start this podcast tonight off with is just Oklahoma's Alabama State champions again.
Again, 2 years in a row, man. First 2 years in the SEC.
2 years in a row. Alabama State. No, in all seriousness, man. Championship caliber football and defense, man. Those guys, some of the adjustments they made. I'm going to talk about a tweak they made, and then we'll find the film and we'll cue it up maybe tomorrow. Coach made a very wise adjustment at halftime, and what he did is when they went 11 personnel, especially with the tight end flex, they put the cheetah as the third safety. You guys, Powers. By the way. I go back and forth, but Powers might be the best cheetah too. Kendall Dobie does need to find a new home if he doesn't want to play corner, because the things Powers takes away at the second level, and then the way he hits you, very, very keen stuff. Anyway, we'll get in that in a minute. But no, very subtle tweak BV makes in the second half. He puts an additional defender in the middle of the field to take away the in cut. And then he tells our DNs, like, screw alignment, go into a wide 9 and shrink the pocket, right? Make him have to step up, because our 0 and our 3 were pushing their guards back into the pocket too. So defensively, hell of a job. Obviously, I have a lot of concerns about things that are happening on offense. I think Mateer plays his best game since the injury tonight. He doesn't cause any turnovers. He makes a Herculean play to score the touchdown. The touchdown's an awesome play. You can't discount the play, but we got to be able to complete the bunnies. And I want to speak to some of the bunnies that we just miss on offense. Their defense, I'll say it later. I don't want to go too far. What you got, bro?
Yeah, we'll dive into it, man. I think the first thing is just perspective, right? You go into Bryant-Denny Stadium, you beat the number 4 team who has been not just unbeaten, D-Mac, since the Florida State game, but a team that many had penciled in as a shoe-in for
maybe
the
best
CFP.
team.
Maybe the best team
in the country right now.
Yeah, especially watching a large chunk of the A&M game today, right? This team has beaten Georgia, right? They beat Tennessee. This is a team that was on a roll. They completed bombs against LSU in the previous week and beat them and held them to 9 points, who I think they ended up beating Arkansas today, LSU did. So, and LSU's always had players. Bottom line is, they've got a quarterback who was in Heisman contention, 2 elite wide receivers. They had the couple guys on defense who were really killer. Justin Jefferson, kind of a throwback name to not the LSU Justin Jefferson, but a great defender. And there were times in this game, D-Mac, they had all the momentum. They had everything going their way. That one drive that they had where they ended up scoring from the 2, you had the ball down the right sideline where they got behind. I think that was Guillory in coverage, right? And it just felt like this Oklahoma team.
That was RSJ.
That's right. That was RSJ. It felt like this Oklahoma team should not have gotten away with this victory with how they played on the offensive side of the ball, yet they did, which I think this culminates in saying, and chat would love to hear your all's opinion, this is probably one of the best playmaking defenses and game-changing defenses. Throw stats out because there's going to be some stats that look good or better with some of those historic early 2000s teams, but the stats with this team are pretty good, and they're playing some really good offensive talent, but it's the playmaking, D-Mac. It's Bowen with the pick six, right? Getting the ball and doing something with it. It's the forced turnovers. It's actually taking the ball away. It's making the play when it's there. And at a point where you can't afford to break, this team didn't break, right? I want to go down a stats just real quick and then kind of get you started on what you thought of OU's defensive performance before we dive into the offense too heavy. And as we do in this pod, we'll kind of go position by position and break down what we thought, give an idea of what we think is going to come here in these next couple weeks. But just going down on the stats, D-Mac, Mateer, 15 of 23 for 138. You did bring it up, no turnovers, hugely important, right? Alabama, we said turnovers were going to be such a factor because Ty Simpson didn't throw picks, and he comes in and throws too many. Yeah, X-Rob, 10 carries for 34 yards. Run game never fully got established. It was just pieces and chunks, like timely chunks when they needed it. Carter ends up being your leading receiver with 36 yards. Defensively, just kind of everybody's kind of shared in the tackles, if you will. But I want to go team stats because this is fascinating. Alabama, 406 yards to Oklahoma's 212. 326 yards through the air, the Tide had. Only 80 rushing yards, which that is to your point. You said pregame, if Bama could run the ball, it was going to be tough sledding. And then 5.4 yards a carry for Bama, 4.2 for the Sooners. But then you get down to fumbles lost and interceptions thrown. That's right. The other one was a fumble. 2 fumbles lost for Bama, and Simpson throws the pick.
All 3 are his.
All 3 are his.
No. He has one pick, 1 fumble, and then Hardy, not to call it Ryan Williams.
On the punt. Yeah, on the punt. Yep. Yeah. So, at the end of the day, they had the ball. Bama did for 34 minutes in this one, D-Mac. So how did the defense get this done? And then we'll start with the defensive line. How did the defense take this game away from Alabama and put this Sooners team in a position now where the playoffs are a real possibility going forward?
Yeah, so I want to start on a high. I think the first thing I want to speak to is Brent Venables. If anybody was wavering on him, right, the leader, the catalyst, the head ball coach, right? I think this game coming right after Tennessee in Rocky Top, Bryant Denny in Tuscaloosa, when we looked at the schedule in the fall, we said, okay, right, we don't pick losses, but if we were going to have a loss, we talked about that stretch, right, as being part of Murderers Row. You get both of those wins, people got to put respect on his name. Mm-hmm. You got to put respect on his name. And I'm talking about respect on his name to the point where we know we have a insufficient offensive scheme, period. In September, people bitched and moaned. I'm sorry if I'm cussing, but people bitched at me because I was like, the scheme looks trash, right? I've been saying this since September, right? Oh, they're holding stuff back. They're holding stuff back. They're holding stuff back. In spite of balling, in spite of a almost historic first half. I don't know if you guys heard, but Ty Simpson had the most passing yards since what's my man playing for Carolina now? A little short kid who killed it in college, but it's kind of
Bryce Young.
Bryce threw for 270 against Auburn. Dude had 249 in the first half, right? And then in the second half, we clamped their asses. So I think as a fan base, and Mackey's being biased. Maybe I am being a little biased, but none of our coaches. I shouldn't say that. That's not fair to Bob because the Big 12 South was a monster when I played. So I don't want to discount that, but it's been a long time since an Oklahoma team has had to play the schedule they're playing and are playing to winning football, championship caliber winning football. It's been 20 years. It's been since Sam Bradford. Like Bake and Kyler and those guys, no diss to them, but they didn't play in the same type of games against the same Nebraskas, K-States, Colorados, Missouris, A&Ms, and those teams. Some of those teams had up and down years, but those are like historical stadiums. Go play in Nebraska and see what it's like to play. Was it Memorial Stadium? I believe that's what it's called. Go see what it feels like to play there versus playing at Baylor, and Baylor's got a good team. I'm not putting no shade on Baylor, but Bryant-Denny, Rocky Top, you got to put some respect on the HBC. Shout out to my old DC and the head ball coach for, you know what he did? He played great situational football. We're going to talk about the offense. The offense damn near shit the bed. But he said, you know what? I got us. Y'all can't get y'all act together. I'm going to generate turnovers, right? We were looking for some of the, like what are the tweaks the offense is going to run? You know, a very clear and apparent tweak I saw in the first quarter. Did anybody else notice how much we were punching at the football?
Yep, 100%.
We're not a team that as a team or as a defense has been traditionally punching at the football. We were punching at the football, and because of that, we get a turnover. To me, that is an adjustment you see during the break. And so, I mean, you know, I'll rant about the defense because there's a lot of positivity to discuss. But first and foremost, I just think it's extremely important to pay respect to a ball coach who says Oklahoma has an identity. We'll go in your mother-sucking stadium and beat your mother-sucking tail, regardless if our mother-sucking offense isn't keeping up the par. We got us. And that travels. That carries. That matters. That means something. And Alabama is the big boy of the SEC. Georgia's, you know, they're kind of like the new kid on the block who had their run, but Bama is the big daddy. To go into Alabama and it's effectively, I'm going to say it, we whooped their tail the second half. Second half of the game, we have an anemic offense, and I'm not going to discount that. But our defense went blow for blow, and when it mattered most, we created the turnover. And by the way, we didn't get lucky turnovers. We created the turnovers. Went blow for blow on fourth down. The DB made the PBU. Went blow for blow. Early in the game, the brother made the pick six touchdown. Like, people can't say, oh, you won because of turnovers. We created turnovers. You remember our first year, and I'd be like, oh, we kind of get lucky turnovers.
Yeah.
None of our turnovers were lucky. Taylor Wine coming off that edge and whooping their right tackle's tail.
Yep.
Right? He made the play. That's man versus man winning. Right? Peyton Bowen on that last fourth down, he's 1v1. And not only did he, by the way, he didn't get lucky. It's a PBU. He hits the ball.
Played it perfect.
I got this. I got us. And you know, I have called him the 5-star Jag. That's kind of oxymoronic, by the way. So don't take it personal. You can't be a 5-star. And you can't be a Jag if you're a 5-star. But that was kind of the little nickname we had. Salute to those guys for stepping up, man. Big game. Proud to be a Sooner. Proud of the HBC. Championship caliber defense. We did that without our best DN. Imagine Wine and RMT coming off opposite edges, and MJJ is the second winger.
Mm-hmm.
That solid group, solid game, hell of a win. Super, super proud of the team.
Yeah, that was some of the adjustment that OU did have to make. What was in games previously, they were able to rely on RMT, and I know fans can kind of poo-poo the loss. You felt it in this one because there were so many moments where the difference in RMT and a Wine or an MJJ is RMT is that extra tick, man. That's why you play him. He's that extra tick, and he gets there. He gets home. That clock is sped up, and there were moments in the game prior to the adjustments where Ty is just sitting back there and picking Oklahoma apart. He knows he's got time. You know, OU is trying to get pressure, but they just don't have enough guys who were able to click. And you notice too, the later in the game, OU went with a lot more of those interior pressures with Kip. Devon Jordan had the big sack, man, off the disguise blitz where he comes late. And Guillory, once again, really solid game. Eli, man, when you make a play like that, that is a monstrous thing for your team. And it was the difference, right? In a 23-21 game, that's the difference in winning and losing. And for him to get the team off to a great start like that when Bama is driving, they were either in the red zone or right on the fringe of red zone territory. And Bama, the best red zone team in college football, especially when it comes to scoring touchdowns. OU has been efficient, but just too many field goals. And OU was able to get it done. Jackson didn't play as much on the interior as he normally does. You saw a lot of Stone, a lot of Halton, and they just pinned their ears back and got after it, especially in that second half. So let's start there, D-Mac. The defensive line, you're down RMT. Jackson is not the player. You've talked about him. You think at times he's OU's best defensive player. It might be one of the biggest or most valuable draft prospects on this team. But then maybe not so much with RMTs rising this year, but still an elite player, and you're down him, no RMT, and yet you're still able to generate pressure when you need to generate pressure, speed up the clock, and essentially handle Bama's run game, right? They came in, they had the whatever his name is, Jammer at the running back position, and they switched to Daniel Hill, who has some success. A lot of outside zone with Alabama, and OU's able to pin some of that down in the second half. But how were they able to, D-Mac, go from essentially getting gashed again, kind of in that middle eight, to putting the clamps on? And how do you think that group performed?
Yeah, I'll talk to schematics in a minute, and because I saw it early in the game and it cost us a TD, and I'll bring that up in a second. But first, I just want to say, games like that, and I happen to play in a lot of games like that. I play in a lot of games just like that. It just boils down to who wants it more. Watching that game, and I'll talk about the treadmill later too. I'm not going to talk about the treadmill right this second. But watching that game, it BV's calling his stuff. Excuse me. What's my man's name? The head ball coach at
DeBoer.
what's his name? DeBoer.
By the way, that was his first home loss since he's been at Bama.
You damn right.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn right. I think they lost an unranked. Anyway, whatever. Point is, how cool was it to watch? And I hate this analogy in some regards, but I'm going to use it because I think from a tactical standpoint, it's the same. Obviously, it's not life and death, but that to me, it's like a frontline war, right? You've got your troops, and some of them are just field troops, and they got a rifle. You got your sergeants, and that's like your Mateer and your Kip Lewis, and they got Ty Simpson, and then you got your generals right behind, and they're calling plays. How many times during that game, by the way, you can see it up close? They're lined up in something. We're communicating. They look at it, they're communicating, and then we move into what we're moving into. And then, think about it. They scored a touchdown off of that. Tactically, they said OU is going to adjust based upon what they see us do. We're literally going to fake it out like we're looking and hike the ball while we're looking. And they scored on the tight end delay. They score a touchdown on the tactical part of the game, right? And so with respect to our military guys and veterans and, the guys who died serving our country, I just love that aspect of the game. We as fans saw that up close and personal, I'd say from the second quarter on, always with our defense against their offense, and a lesser degree, our offense is a little chicken little, so teams can kind of just, they're going to make some sporadic mistakes. But yeah. I think that's to be said. The other thing, and I saw it again tonight, it cost us a TD. For those of you who are the type, if you recorded the game, I recorded the game, I'm going to tell you the exact play where it almost hurt us again, but the 22 starters. We arbitrarily sub guys in the second quarter, wholesale. I don't mind the linebackers having a rotation. In fact, think about it like this. Last year, we had a linebacker rotation, but Danny stayed in 75% of the time. And then like 1 out of every 4 possessions, Danny came out, and it was just Kip and McKenzie, if you remember. Danny was primarily the mainstay, and then Kip would come in, McKenzie would come in, Kanik would come in, and then every once out of 4, it would be like McKenzie and Kip. You can't have somebody like Kip, who's playing as well as he's playing, just arbitrarily rotate out. Because Samuel comes in, they line up in a formation, they move to the other side of the ball, they call a play, they run a tight end delay down the sideline. Samuel is not into the ingredients of the game. He might have remembered his call sheet and the stuff he needed to do, but like he hasn't been in the bullets. And very early on, he's put into a play where, right, and by the way, they're running some makeshift stuff. Excuse me, I didn't mean to cuss. They're running some makeshift stuff, and they run a delay. I'm not talking about the touchdown. I'm talking about the first time. When they come down the sideline, he catches it, runs to about the 11-yard line. They have wholesale twos. Strong is in the game at tackle. Samuel's in the game. McKenzie's in the game. By the way, McKenzie doesn't get the fumble because he's rusty. He doesn't get the run through. He has a perfect run through early in the game. He just whiffs, right? He's not in the mix yet. Why don't you just put him next to Kip for a possession instead of having him have to be the alpha with Sammy? To me, that makes, and again, I am critiquing our coach with a very acute lens, right? And I'm just saying, what's the 99%? If we're at the 98, what's the 99 percentile? Mm-hmm. But this game, it cost us a touchdown. And then the last possession of the game. Everybody. It's the first 4th down where they line the lineman into the backfield and they act like they're going to hand it to him and then they do the reverse around it, right? That possession started with the ones. Kip is in the game. Heineke's in the game. Halton's in the game. And then they pick up the first down. And I get it. It's 3rd down. I don't know what happened. Oh, I think they sub, so we sub. If you guys remember, it's like, oh, you subbing, and Alabama fans are pissed off. And so we bring the twos in. So we bring that crew in. They run the ball, Samuel and Halton stuff it or whatever the case may be, right? So then they have to call timeout. Shouldn't you put the ones back in after the timeout? Because Devin Jordan's in the game on that play. He's number 12. Is his name Devin Jordan? Is that his name?
Yeah, Devon. I think it's Davon Jordan. Whatever. So
go back and watch the plays, guys. Again, and maybe I don't know, right? Maybe I'm wild and I'm tripping. Mackie, shut up. But on that possession, the ones are in. They pick up a first down. I am okay with saying Kip and Heineke and the starters are a little tired. They subbed. Let's also sub and see if we could force them to waste a timeout. I love that. I love that tactical approach, right? But they run the ball on 3rd down. We stuff them. It's 4th and 1. They have to call timeout. I'm putting my ones back in. We keep the twos in. So it's not Gullery or Eli. Actually, I think it's Eli's side. It's not Eli. On that play, it's Devon Jordan. Mm-hmm. On that, based upon that formation, anybody who knows football knows corner has contain and force. So even if they run some inside, whatever they run inside, there's backers and safeties and linemen. That's their job. The corner's job is contain and force. I believe if Eli Bowen is in on that first play, where they run that reverse, I believe he tackles in the backfield. And the only reason he's not in is because of that substitution pattern that we have. And so, again, it might sound like I am complaining about something that's really small, but imagine if Eli's in on that play. He's been in all game. He's made a big play. He's in the juice. And that doesn't mean Devon didn't play well, but they subbed those guys in because let's just say they were tired. They got a playoff, and then they called a timeout. I need my guys back in the game. Somebody put confirmed. Kurt, thank you for saying that, but I saw and I was like, what the hell? And then guess what happens the next play? Do you want to guess what happens after they get the first, Barry? What do you think happens after they get the first?
Trying to remember. Let me know.
They put Eli back in the game. They put Eli back in the game the next play. The very next play, Eli's back in the game. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I don't understand how we're in game-changing situations. We should have our best 11 on the field. And I know Mackey's going, and I'm kind of amped up because I'm excited we won. But man, as Mars, I've been saying it since last year. To me, he reminds me of the Honey Badger, bro. Put his ass in the slot, let him kind of play in the hole and read stuff and just be an athlete. I think the kid's a killer. I think next year he could take someone's job at safety. Be that what's my Earl Thomas type safety that Texas had, where he's a little undersized, but he's aggressive and smart. I don't think he's a 2. I just think he's a mismatch at corner in the SEC conference. So anyway, I know I went off on a rant there, guys, but if you go back and watch the film, it's pretty clear to see on the tight end delays, both tight end delays, the touchdown and the big play, Barry, it's against our 2 backers. That makes me believe they schemed it. That makes me believe they say, hey, when Heineke or when Kip Lewis is in the game, he ain't giving that up. But when those other dudes are in the game, if we have to check it, run it, because they ran it both times when McKenzie and Samuel were in the game. So just that the treadmill, bro. My DMs is blowing up on the treadmill.
I saw the treadmill tweet. We're back on it.
Some lady said it's bigger than you, ma'am. I have no bearings on us winning or losing. It's just my lucky treadmill.
People take it too serious, man.
Let me get on my damn treadmill. And by the way, there's a bunch of people who say, Mackie, stay on the damn treadmill. Both times I got on the treadmill, we're losing. As soon as I got on the treadmill, we started winning. I stayed on the treadmill when we won. So the treadmill's a thing. It has Sooner magic. There's a residual income, intel with that thing. We're going to keep it rocking.
Yeah, I mean, it was a game where it was a battle on both sides. Venables has talked about it in pressers. That you're going to lose a lot of reps when you play in this conference, especially when you're playing in the trenches, man. You're not going to win everything. And I think to your point, and this is just kind of playing the odds, when you got your best guys in, the chances of you losing that rep across all 11 just goes down from an analytics standpoint. Those are when you have your best 11 in the football game, it makes a difference. And I noticed something and we'll get to the secondary. I want to kind of keep it home real quick just on some of the interior and then talk about what you noticed with the end.
Yeah.
But
I'll get to it.
But even on the fourth down and then the previous play, the OU Bowen was standing right at the first down marker on that fourth down stop and played it excellently. But OU got up in the receivers grill just a little more in that second half, man. In the first half, there was so much. Again, we've seen it a ton, but there was so much soft coverage where Ty was able to take easy things. Bama didn't really even need to stretch the defense a whole lot. So much was available underneath. And I would say the biggest difference when you're watching the backers play, and we'll come back to the D-line, when you're watching the backers play, I noticed when Stutzman made his leap, the biggest thing that he learned how to do was pick up the nuances in pass defense. And that's where Sammy O is not there yet. Heineke is better than Sammy O. Kip is the best. In terms of getting hands on a guy, kind of shucking the receiver off the timing, messing up what they're trying to do, right? And then getting depth, gaining ground, and being able to make the play. There is a massive difference with Kip on the field. And Heineke is, I think he gives, in terms of acceleration, like close area, covering distance, Heineke and Kip, man, Kip gets the nod, but it's much closer, I think, than people would realize.
I told you somebody said it. He's a legit 5'2", bro. Somebody told me he's a legit 5'2".
So that makes sense to me. Like watching him tonight, he is one of those
4'5'2". I'm sorry, 4'5'2".
Oh, 4'5'2". Okay,
he's a legit 4'5'2" guy.
Okay, Heineke is one of their best players in terms of changing direction, getting out of his hips, getting out of his feet, which is why he plays those things better than everybody else does. If Omasigo and even McKenzie to some degree can start picking up on some of the nuances of playing pass coverage, especially when you got guys running through the formation, you're switching bodies, you're switching who's covering mid-play. Like there's a lot going on with what OU is doing across the middle of the field. It just makes all the difference in the world when you do have Kip in the game. but just playing more of an aggressive style in the second half, I think that simply made a difference. And saying, all right, DNs, we're going to try and have you guys get home. So what was it, Mackie, that they did structurally across the front that really made the difference in the second half? And who were some guys, we could talk about Wine. I think Stone had one of his best games, actually, in terms of stats wise, it won't necessarily show up, but stopping the run on the inside, he was there. He had a lot of plays, D-Mac, where he is holding position, just holding ground, and then at the last second, shucking guy one way or the other to make the tackle. That like Jaden Jackson type stuff, and he did it really well. A little bit more Dominic Williams in this one too. But what was it schematically that they did, and who were some guys that stood out?
Yeah, so let's talk D-line. First half we played. So if you break down BV's defense, right? BV wants to run a single gap where every man just needs to win his gap. And then what he'll do is overload. All right. So he'll put two to one side and then he'll overload with a backer, just an inside dog or an outside dog. Is this an inside blitz or an outside blitz? Right. I'm not going to go too many X's and O's today, but that BV wants to run a defense where it's very simple to know whose fault it was if someone messed up. All right. And so that's the reason why you guys see sometimes there's some busts, because everybody has one specific area that they're supposed to get to within our front and then within the zone. There's a flat defender, a hole defender, deep center defender if we're going to carry, or the backer's coming and the safety has to know he doesn't have a deep defender, a deep center defender. There's a hole defender, and then there's a flat defender on the side, and there's two safeties or one safeties. And so the extra man can overload. Overload means they're coming. If two guys can come every play, and we can cover all our zones. All right. And so in the first half, our DNs, and we talked about this for years, our DNs don't generally get to eat like other teams' DNs because our DNs have a job to do. They essentially have to man their gap, C gap generally for the DNs, and they can't just try to go outside because they naturally create a lane inside. If team scheming, just kick you out, they go up inside. By the way, Bama did it today. Bama did it once or twice. Yeah. Because BV said after the first half, scrap the gap defense. DNs go wide 9. And they didn't do it every down. It was a down and distance thing that we saw. But what we started seeing is Wine and PJ and MJJ started having that Dan Cody. If you guys remember, Dan Cody used to have that 45-degree where he's lined up already letting you go. And by the way, RMT would do it sometimes too. Mm-hmm. And so we went to a wide 9. And with the wide 9, it gave our DNs the ability to say, okay, we're coming. And if you guys notice, what was their response to the wide 9 is they started running power and just kicking him out and coming up inside. And they reached, if you guys remember, there's a play where they reach Kendall Daniels. They run power. The backside guard pulls out. The tight end comes down and just reaches him. He reaches Kendall, and the running back cuts right off of it, and he gets 30 yards, right? Those are the plays you're willing to give up when you make that, but we couldn't just let Simpson be comfortable. All right, so BB said he was way too comfortable in the first half. DNs sick him. Now imagine if we had RMT, right? That would have been even crazier because you got RMT and Wine coming and MJJ as the third dude. But that's number one. The number two thing is in the first half, we did it a little bit in the first quarter, but we went away from it in the second quarter, is we didn't put the safety at depth. The cheetah at depth. We generally played the cheetah like a hole defender, like the Roy Williams or the Tony Jefferson of yesteryears. Those two guys were really good at that position, and they killed us because someone has a tight end. Someone's assignment is the tight end when we have a nickel. And if you have a mental bust, he's wide open. Hence why the tight end was wide open. Backers, again, both of those big plays are against our second team backers. So this is why I say what I say, right? Because if Heineke and Kipper in, you don't really see him catching it and open for 30 yards. He might catch a ball, 12 yards, whatever, but you don't see the mental bust. The second group of backers, when he's in, someone just mental busts, right? So what does BB do? Scrap that. Third level defender. The cheetah is going to be third level at safety depth because he can see everything in front of him. Now he's just coming in robbing. So now the tight end, the backers don't have to worry about, do I have to check tight end before I read? Because backers want to run the football, right? see football, read football, tackle football. That's what a backer really wants to do. Because he put the cheat in, it was Powers who did it really, really good. Powers is at safety depth. Powers could just go through tight end to his responsibilities because he had no deep responsibilities. Huge. Again, most people won't see it. Huge factor in why Mackey, or not Mackey, but just like, why did they go for 250 in the first half and only 100 yards in the second half? Because those easy pre-snap reads went bye-bye when BV made the adjustment. That's grandmaster caliber adjustments by your defense when your offense is anemic. You've got to do that knowing my offense isn't going to help me if I don't make something happen, right? And so huge deal. I also noticed in the second half they kept Kip in a little more, so that there were times where Kip was with Heine, and then there were times when Kip was with McKenzie. I think there was even a possession when Kip was with Samuel, and I mean Kip is the alpha now. If he didn't earn it in August when we went through the depth chart, it was a Kip or right. Kip is an RMT level backer now. Yeah. The other guys have shown flashes throughout the years. He has been consistently an ass kicker, and so I noticed he got more reps in the second half. And then I just think you said it, but the way I see it is a little different than what you saw. We noticed that they were killing us with the. By the way, did they kill us in the first half with the in cut? Killed us. They were running.
That's what you said on the pre-show. Bro, it's like that's what they're gonna do, bro. And they ate with it, man.
They killed us in the first half with the in cut. So again, having that cheat at depth, it takes it away because he's coming in. The quarterback can't anticipate throw it. He's going to step right in and intercept it. But our corners, I really liked them playing at 7 and sitting. So we sat on all of their curl stuff, stop stuff, which was why they ISO'd our SJ on that one play. Yeah. And he kind of stuttered and they because we're sitting at depth.
Instead of bailing at the snap like they were doing. Yes. Got it.
So I think that's very intelligent. We didn't get there were times where we stepped up closer. So you're right there. But there were more times where our DBs lined up at depth and sat, right? And that took away their ability to do their in cut. It's why you saw Ty Simpson hold the ball way longer in the second half. You saw the cheetah at safety depth, which is why you see the in cut get taken away. You saw our DNs go into a wider 9. Not all like a Tampa 2 wide 9, but a much wider 9 where they're just trying to squeeze the pocket, which is why you saw our D tackles in the second half push the pocket, right? Like you saw, there was a play, I don't know, I think it was Stone. Stone takes the guard or the center and walks him right into Ty Simpson's lap. Our guys generally don't do that because they have a gap that they have to own. And if you do that and lose your gap integrity and somebody creases it, even if you're 3 yards in the backfield, you're in trouble. So generally guys try to win a yard and then win their gap. That's how our defense is designed to do. And then BV dictates where the bullets are coming from. Inside zone or inside dogs, outside dogs, cross dogs, right? Safety, here comes a cat, right? Corner blitz. All of those are designated by BV. Second half, he kind of took some of the reins back and said, guys, go play ball. The ends, go be great, right? Cheetah, read inside, cut all the inside cutting routes to tight end. Backers, just play football. Oversimplifying that, guys, it really helped the defense just play ball. And they balled out.
You know, and I know this again at a risk of oversimplifying it before we hit on backers, so we won't spend a ton of time there. I do want to get to the secondary and really talk about what you saw there. But, you know, one of the things with this group, DMAC, that Venables is able to really drive home with personnel decisions. And ultimately, I think it is probably the biggest separator in the ones versus the twos is that he said after that first season in the Big 12 and really after season number 2 is when you started seeing the change is that, well, we're not going to get killed on the perimeter anymore. The easy stuff has got to go away, right? Xavier Worthy catching it, behind the line of scrimmage and taking it 75 to the house is gone, right? You want to the best you can take away those extended run plays, take away the team getting to 2nd and 4, 3rd and 2 in an easy way. And OU really kept them. Bama had their way at times, But when you look down, Bama was in a lot of like 2nd and 7, right? 3rd and 6, which was just enough where if OU was able to get pressure to still be able to get the stop, right? It probably wasn't as much as they'd want, and mistakes killed OU. I looked up, and at one point in the game in the second half, they had 4 penalties. It felt like they had 1,000 because they were just so untimely, right? Just false start by EPL, the blind side block, which we'll talk about that when we go to the offense, the play by Helms where he kind of cracks the guy on the side as they're coming around. But OU put Bama in some negative situations, but the big one is this team tackles on the perimeter so well, and they take the cutback away for the running backs so well, that they have so much speed and they vice when they go after guys. Like you'll have a few missed tackles on the perimeter that way outside the hashes that go for yards, but if when you think about it, rarely does this team get cut back on, right? If Bama had a big run, it is because they mowed down everybody and they kicked out that outside backer or kicked out the cheetah. Rarely is it because that running back hit the hole, the defense over pursued, he cuts it back and takes it. It was that they tackle so well. And that has kept them in games like this. So talk about just quick overview of what you think how you think the backers played, right? This was probably one of their more challenging games with the tight ends that Bama was going to deploy. You were going to have to try some different things at Cheetah, right? That this was going to be a challenging game. Reggie had that missed tackle that was pretty that was rough, where he just totally shoulders the guy, doesn't use his arms at all, doesn't wrap up, and would have had it, but had one earlier that was great.
You talking about the tight end on the sideline? You talking about the tight end, bro?
The second one.
No. That tight end play on the sideline, he missed the tackle. That is a hard tackle against a big ass tight end. He missed the tackle. I'm not gonna super critique that hella hard because he had no angle. His only option, he could have wrapped. I guess he could have wrapped. So I'll say that. But that's a hard play. The kid has all his momentum. He had enough time to turn and see him, and the way the angle played out. Anyway, let me not make excuses. Backers. Kip's our alpha. Said it for 2 years. That's settled. McKenzie knocked the rust off, played better in the second half, tackled well on their bigger running back. They had the big kid, number 4, who's 240. And I don't know if y'all saw, but he took Kendall Daniels for a ride. He took Heineke for a ride. McKenzie kissed his tail. Right? McKenzie met him. He didn't meet him in the hole, but they kind of ran there. It wasn't an outside zone. It was a power concept. They pulled the guard, and McKenzie read it and kissed him and tackled him right there. Boom. So that is a component of his game that we need. It was good to have him back. Samuel, and again, guys, I'm an ex-Sooner, and I don't try to talk smack, but like he's a front runner for me. With all due respect, bro, they ran down your chest 3 or 4 times. With all due respect, bro, on both tight end delays, like you watch the tight end go, and he's an inline tight end, so that's a backer. If the safety isn't playing at 8, that's a backer responsibility. They ran it twice. I think the second time it's more McKenzie because he crossed McKenzie's face. The first time he crosses Samuel's face, Samuel looks at the DB like, whoa, where you at? The DB is in a matchup zone. Our corners play zone, but if somebody runs a deep post, the corner is not going to give that to somebody else. He's got to carry that. Mm-hmm. The backer's got to carry tight end, right? So, Sammy's a guy who I would have a lot of appreciation for if it didn't look like every time he had a play to make, he was hot dogging. You know what I'm saying? But like, I just don't like that. I don't like it. And I'm gonna speak my mind, and people may not agree with it. The play where I'm talking about, where we have those guys in, Grayson Halton makes the play. The running back hits the pile. He tries to spin out. Grayson Halton, or maybe it's Dom. It's either Dom or Grayson. They tackle him. Sammy gets in on it, and then at the end, he's like, "Oh!" Like, no, I get it. We're excited, but like, bro, you didn't make the play. The D-line didn't make the play. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to hate. But it's like, you know what I'm saying? He tries to be big time, But like when they ran inside dive, it was like an inside zone dive. Like, the dude runs right down his chest and carries him 5 yards. Boom. I'm like, damn, bro, you the middle backer. You know what I'm saying, man? You got to be a little bit more thorough up in there. So Sammy is what he is. If he's your fourth backer, you're in good position though, because he's not a scrub. So I don't even want to act like he's a scrub. I'm just saying he shouldn't be getting as many reps as Kip or Heineke. He shouldn't get as many reps as Heineke gets. And as McKenzie gets better, those three should rotate between two positions, and he should sub in once every 4 or 5 possessions and be a stud on special teams.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, that's how we did it with Rufus Alexander. That's how we did it with Teddy Lehman. That's how we did it with Clint Ingram. I mean, like, that's the way it works, right? The younger guy gets a ton of reps on all specials, gets reps at backer, and knows to wait his turn because, just like you said, we need our best 11. The drop-off between him versus Kip or him versus Heineke, it's really big. And if McKenzie's not coming off a bad will, it's big there too. So anyway, that's that. I think McKenzie plays well the second half. Heineke has a huge mental bust. He's got the back on a running back option. By the way, he also got Heineke reminded us today why he's not your typical SEC backer in terms of size. He got big boyed a few times today on tackles and physicality. That aspect of the game, Alabama leaned on him, but I think his biggest miss of the day is they run the running back option on a first and early in the third quarter. They're going it's the third quarter. They run a running back option. The running back sits. He kind of guesses to where the running back's going to run. The running back pivots and runs the other way, and he runs for like 40 yards. That's Heine's guy. Got to make the play. Also, he got juked out of his draws by Ty Simpson. Did you see that? They run zone read. Yeah, they ran that zone read. And
that one was
Ty
later
Simpson,
in the game. That was later. Yeah, that was pretty late.
Ty Simpson gave him a little wiggle, but played. He played a ton of snaps, man, and he played winning football. Kendall Daniels didn't have his best game, but he played solid. Man,
I'll say this about Daniels. I think one of the best plays that he made was, I think it was on the wine fumble. Do you remember what he did on that play that McKenzie, by the way, didn't do on the fumble earlier?
Yeah, he fell on the ball.
Well, and not only that ball, he could sense that thing going out. And if you watch, he runs around to the other side of the ball
to make sure it can't get close
to the sideline, which was like just such in that split second, man. Golly, they're probably 5 yards from the sideline, but maybe even a little closer at the time. And that was just such a heady play. Let's talk about secondary, man, because there was good, there was bad. Guillory, especially without having Gentry, didn't see a lot of Jacoby in this one. And probably
I saw one possession.
Probably for the tackling, man. I mean, that's what we have said. Just in a game where Bama can get physical on the perimeter, and they had tight ends catching the ball, and just getting easy yardage at times. The Bowen and Guillory are just tougher and more physical players out there. But what did you think of the way the secondary played? I know they had their moments, but what were your thoughts?
Best performance in SEC's best performance in conference. Guys made plays. Guys were aggressive. I honestly think I'm talking about the entire unit. Mm-hmm. People were hitting me up on Twitter like Peyton and Eli must have heard you, Becky, because both of those guys. Eli plays his best game of the year. I think he just likes playing against Bama. You know what I'm saying? 2 pick sixes against Bama. You know what I'm saying? There's something to be said about that. Peyton has tackled generally well all year, but Peyton was coming up. By the way, Peyton played the tight end better than anybody else, except for Powers, aside from that one play. Peyton, again, third level depth. The tight end doesn't have any angles, so he can just meet the tight end at the ball. Peyton did extremely well with that. By the way, takes a terrible angle on the go route second quarter.
Awful.
By the way, he sat his ass on the bench too. That's when they brought Hardy in. They set him on the bench for that. Hardy's in the rest of that possession and the next possession, which is good. Guys should be held accountable.
Yeah.
But Peyton played well. RSJ played well. Sucks that he doesn't get his pick because Kendall grabs the guy he doesn't need to. But Kendall doesn't know there's a safety back there robbing that. But That's what RSJ should have did against Tennessee. By the way, okay, this is beautiful. X's and O's, guys. Go back and watch Tennessee. Bama runs the same play. Against Tennessee, RSJ bites. Against Bama, he stays home to pick. Same play, right? And so Bama watches film and says, "Oh, he bites. We're going to run it." Of course, our guys watch film and Hall or whoever it is, course corrects and says, "Hey, man, when you see this, you got to stay deep. You're the guy who got to defend pass." And in that particular play, we get the pick versus the TD against Tennessee. Now, we'll say this: Tennessee holds the ball longer. Just a tick longer. Tennessee's really good at keeping it in the running back's belly and then pulling up and throwing it. But Bama runs, show the ball, see if they jump. Power pass is essentially what you would call it. But RSJ plays well. I don't recall any huge missed tackles. I just think Guillory's a guy who has a bright future. I think he's putting his name out there to be an NFL dude.
Oh yeah.
He's got some, you see the play where they want the PI where Ryan Williams grabs him by the jersey and then flings him to kind of get the ball. And so I'm glad the refs didn't call that. Devon Jordan played well, except for the fourth down where he didn't read the end around. He's got force. He's contained. Yeah. Someone says we didn't miss Gentry. I agree. We are learning to adapt to the guys who are available to play. I know we aren't on offense yet. But did y'all see that offensive line block? Did y'all see how many clean pockets we had tonight? Now, we got to talk about scheme, but those freshmen, I think Foje might be the best offensive lineman at right tackle. Guys, he eliminates his side. It's like, yo, this kid is a true freshman. So we'll get there in a sec. But best game of the year. Obviously, when you score on an interception, when you've got your safeties flying out downhill and forcing fumbles, you're thinking about Hardy on special teams. RSJ has a clean game, should also have had an interception. Even Kendall playing in that whole cheetah defender role where he wasn't a very clear and defined second level defender. He played well. He's better in space than you ever think. He's such a big, girthy dude. You think he's not going to be good in space. He's good in space.
Yeah.
But Powers is better though, bro. Powers has really good instincts coming forward. He reminds me of Tony Jefferson. A really clean comp for Powers for me. Tony had phenomenal ball skills, which is why he played in the league a long time too. But Powers hits. He's fundamentally sound. He's thick through the thighs and in that area, and he's a bigger guy than you think. I think he's legit 6'1". Powers is a dude. What is he? A sophomore, Barry? Is that right?
Yeah, he's a sophomore. Yeah,
dude, he's an NFL dude. He's an NFL dude.
Yeah.
He's got a higher ceiling than RSJ. When I loved RSJ and Kip when they were puppies, I think Powers has a higher ceiling just because of instinctually and tackling. He's very assertive. So he kills angles. He doesn't leave air where guys can make you miss. Good game. Good game.
Well, and Powers, I'll talk a little bit about these guys. This was I think it's so cool as a Sooner fan to go out there and see OU play a team like Alabama. This is what, and I know I'm going a little big picture, but when OU moved from the Big 12 to the SEC, the ultimate vision that Venables had to have, that Riley, had he stayed and had the courage to stay in it, would have had to have had, was athletically, you got to get guys who can hang on defense. And OU not only has guys that can hang, they have guys who athletically are better than the opposition they're going against. And Powers, to me, his body actually just sets up better. The way he's built, he is just more proportionate, right? Daniels is great, but sometimes that length can also get you in trouble. It's harder to change direction. It's a little harder to get out of your hips. It's way better than a guy like Dason, who was here before, who had kind of a similar build. Just because, I think Daniels, if you were to look at numbers, is probably a hell of a lot stronger. I think, and then Powers, just his compact nature and his leg length, his torso length. He is just a guy he's built to play in the secondary with the speed and the size. Like the Tony Jefferson's a good comp. He's just bigger all around bigger all around than Tony was. And I think that's going to make his ceiling, even though Tony played a long time in the league, I think Power's ceiling in the league is better. I
His
think he is
his body is better. Tony's
100%.
instincts and ball skills. We need to see Powers make. Tony got like probably 10 or 11 picks at OU, some TDs at OU. Tony. If he plays like Tony, I'm just telling you, he balled out. So, but yeah, he's a bigger and
Bigger
probably
version.
even more athletic, and probably more athletic
Yes.
too.
He
Yeah,
gets out of his feet. There's nobody in the set that this is one of the coolest. RSJ actually might be, I don't want to say the worst because he's still great at it too, at turning hips and getting out of your hips.
100%.
Everybody,
He's the worst.
is phenomenal at that. There is no weak link. Right. That was actually my worry with Eli when he was recruited, was not only the size, but when you watched him on film, he just didn't look incredibly explosive getting out of his hips. He didn't accelerate through the ball. And it almost felt like, oh, they're doing this because, Peyton did him a favor. But then you watch him, I think he got really strong in that first offseason he had. And I think that made a huge difference. Putting strength on a smaller body like that is going to allow you to flourish, right? If you're just a weak high school player, but you got some raw genetics that are capable of improving your game, then maybe you make that jump. But there is nobody in the secondary that is just an athletic weak link. Everybody can run, everybody can keep up with guys. So I think that's why you was able to get 2 victories now away from home, at Tennessee, at Alabama. You talked about it at the top of the show. OU has not faced a schedule like this in years. Just top shelf talent that normally OU wouldn't see unless they went to a BCS game or went to one of the 4 major bowls. And then you go into that game and they just look athletically deficient on both sides of the ball. That is not the case. This team is battle tested. They have now been in some wars. I think that about does it on the defensive side, D-Mac.
Let me say one thing.
Go ahead.
Real quick. I also believe BV taking the reins off of his scheme and letting players play is why you saw more guys in the second half close to their assignment, because the scheme says you've got to be here and then match up. We've talked about it a long time where, like, how come ours doesn't quite like at LSU comes to mind, Georgia, Bama comes to mind. There are times where the coach just says, dude, you got to D your guy up and make a play. We saw that more in the second half because BV went a little less hands-on and let the guys play. Like I said, the DNs got to rush the passer versus the DNs had to keep gap assignment integrity, right? The safeties got to play third level to second level. That's why you see guys are close to their players more in that second half. But they gashed us with some stuff too, right? So it was a cool chess match. I just think it's very important to speak to BV, knowing the way the game was going, saying, okay, we can't just outwit them with scheme. Guys, you got to go play ball. And the guys were able to do that. I think that's important to say.
Yeah, man. And we'll talk about the importance that special teams was when we get to the end of the offense. But moving over to the offensive side of the ball, it was just a game where OU seemed to get what they needed to, D-Mac, by the skin of their teeth when they needed to get it. And it's frustrating because the offensive line is playing really well. The O-line, you can actually see that they're starting to gel a little bit too. Like they're just quicker doing their assignments, that there seems to be a little more trust there that you didn't see. And guys are confident, man. When guys are going in for their blocks, and part of that is just personnel changes too, right? EPL does everything 100 miles an hour. Foje, when he's run blocking, he's 100 miles per hour, especially when he knows his assignment. Like these guys, and Fasusi too. I've seen more nasty in Fasusi out of his game in probably the past 2 weeks than I saw when the season started, even when he played against Michigan and just played such a great game. there has been some really great stuff from the offensive line. The running backs didn't have a whole lot of opportunity tonight, though. And part of that was Alabama just did not respect OU's ability to get the ball down the field. So they played up close to the line of scrimmage all night. So even if OU took care of the 5 and 6 that were in the box, you couldn't also beat the safety, make a move around their nickel. And it wasn't that. Very rarely did the running backs in this one have any one-on-one opportunities out in space. There wasn't a whole lot of that. X Rob was able to get downhill a couple times. They were able to get in some short yardage. Blaylock was able to have a couple carries where he got in space, but there was nothing consistent. And you felt it. It was really Mateer's arm, which is crazy to say because I have some more critiques there that are just not the most positive in terms of some things you saw that we talked about pregame as well. And receivers, you had some guys step up. But I want to talk about just the offensive line first, D-Mac, because you alluded to it and what they have become now, where we thought, 4 or 5 weeks ago, there was no chance that offensive line could go into Neyland and go into Bryant-Denny Stadium and do enough to allow the offense to secure a victory. How have they been able to do it?
Well, so just like, again, how do I say this? Man to man, we're not physically mismatched anymore, right? If we think about our offensive line the last couple of years, there were just times where it was a physical mismatch. Even earlier this year, with all due respect to Derek Simmons, Foje is a better player. Foje's playing against the meat of the schedule, and his man is not whooping him. It's just not happening, right? And so we have elevated our top shelf talent in a sense where we can feel good that our guys can match up. Schematically, we're not putting our guys in position to set them up for success with easy angles. By the way, somebody asked earlier, when we did that pin and pull, I don't know how that's not legal. Helms is an inline tight end on that play. He's a sniffer. He's off the line of scrimmage, but he's in the box.
Yeah.
So there's no way that's why BV was pissed, because Helms is in the box. There's no way, just because we're in a bunch formation tight to the formation, he's in the box. And so they say you can't have a blind side outside the play, but you can have a tight end who's outside the D end who can then come down and hit him high. He hit him high. Right? So I don't know. I think that's one of those gray areas because I know they're taking away crackbacks, right? If he were in a slot position 4 yards away and then came and did it, I got you.
Like when CD laid out that Bama player in the bowl game. Yeah, that's illegal.
That's an illegal play now, but Helms was a sniffer and we were in bunch, right? Because we're trying to create those bodies to get the edge. I think that was a terrible call by the refs. But the offensive line, the advantage is we've got guys who can lead people. EPO, when he runs across the formation to kick out or lead up in the hole, he's killing people. On Mateer's touchdown, he demolishes the guy and he stays in his face for 2 seconds because he could have just hit him. Mateer cuts up and he could have stopped and watched the play. He didn't do that. He hit the guy and gave him a little extra sauce, which I really like to see.
That's the difference, man.
And here's, so my critique is we're not moving people enough on run plays. Barry, this is going to be interesting to say, but we went from like 54 is the best of the bunch to now 54 is the guy who, because the ceiling isn't as high as some of the guys in now, we don't get push. Mm-hmm. And there are plays where we need to just essentially move a man a couple of yards. We've got to be able to do that. The beauty is we've got 3 18, 19-year-olds who are already getting there entrenched. The center is obviously lighting the tail to super grateful for him. I don't want to in any way make it seem like, we have who we have, and I'm grateful that he's doing the job he's doing, but that's a position we also need to either improve at. He needs to be in competition next year And he needs to probably gain 10 to 15 pounds of
Yeah.
muscle girth. You know what I'm saying? Put some more weight on
He
all
is-
seasons.
I think his lower half is not
Yeah.
as strong as it needs to be
100%.
for
100%.
sure.
100%. His lower half looks a little thin. Yeah, Georgia got the tug. Georgia's up 7-3 on Texas. But the offensive line, I don't want to hear anyone else talking about how trash they are. I'm not saying Beatonbow is the man all of a sudden, but I am saying the offensive line has turned the corner. We've got to continue to talk scheme and quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
We got to talk scheme and quarterback because the part of the problem is scheme. But I'm starting to wonder now if Arbuckle is afraid that Mateer isn't ready for the bright lights and is limiting the playbook because, Mateer has a clean pocket. We're going to show you guys tomorrow. Barry and I both texted each other like, look at his feet. Clean pocket, and he's just like, bro, relax. Find the guy, throw a strike, right? And those are aspects that regardless to what play you call, your quarterbacks got to do what they need to do. Offensive line, pass blocking, I think they pass with flying colors, 85, 88. Run blocking, it's a work in progress, but we don't scheme. I don't think there's any time where Arbuckle has a play where we're like, when they get in this front, we're going to run this play, and it's going to get us 20 yards. Whereas there are clear plays where you can see Alabama had schemed up when they go into their 30 front and they got that 33 stack. We're going to kick out and lead up through the hole. And those plays work. Our offensive coordinator has to give us easy freaking plays. We don't get anything easy ever. That tells me there's an issue with the scheme. Don't get me started on the zone versus zone. When we get to the quarterback and receivers, I'm going to talk about their zone versus our zone. And I'm going to give you guys plays. It's the exact same zone. They're running the exact same scheme we're running in a lot of respects. And their guys know how to identify zone, know where the space is, sit in the spot. Quarterback throws a strike. There's no good reason why we can't duplicate that. So we'll talk about that in a second.
Well, we'll talk about Mateer. Let's kind of nail down running backs real quick. It's down now to X-Rob and Blaylock. Those are the two guys. Blaylock got a lot more run. I don't know if they just by matchup DMAC. I don't know if it was because X-Rob was banged up a little bit.
It looked like he got a little owie. It looked like he had a little owie.
Did he? Okay. It's because the reps were a lot more split across the board. It still didn't even feel like X-Rob got the ball enough in this one, but I think OU didn't even run that many snaps at the end of the day when it's 34 to 25 in the time of possession battle, right? You're going to not have near as many plays. There was times where it felt like OU kind of that they needed to keep the defense off the field, so they were not having drives in so quickly, but the run game was probably its worst it's been, since going back to early in the season. It just wasn't as impressive. And part of that, I think, again, we'll get to it when we talk quarterbacks and receivers. It was just what Alabama was able to do in loading up to stop it. There was nowhere to go. There was no just easy space for the backs to get ahead of steam, to get downhill. And I think it's wild because the defense is so good that you're still capable of beating the number 4 team in their own place. It just tells you how much of a playmaking defense and how stout that they are. But what was your take on the way X-Rob played, the way Blaylock played? Anything that stood out to you, or anything that down the road they could improve upon?
I think X-Rob looked like he had some type of abdomen or high hip kind of quad thing that you could see he kind of was holding it when he was coming off the field, and then he was out for a couple of possessions. I think it just boils down to scheme, dude. We run pretty basic stuff. When we hike the ball, the action of what we're trying to do generally is what people see on film. There isn't any wrinkle or change to make defenses have to second guess. But you said it at the top of the show. Third level defenders get to hover around 8, 9, 10 yards all game. We showed the film against Tennessee. Imagine trying to run the football when everybody on defense is 8 yards from the line of scrimmage. Do you know how hard that is?
You can't do it.
It's extremely difficult when Say you have a safety whose job is to, yeah, you got a safety who's a robber. A robber should start at 14 to 12 so that the quarterback will potentially think he has a deep responsibility. And then at the hike of the ball, they start to come up, right? If they're robbing. Imagine robbing at 8 yards. You're a backer. He's already in the hole by the time the running back has the ball. That safety is already there. Like, there's no room. And so the only way we'll be able to run the ball, we're the opposite of Alabama. Our running game, aside from X-Rob and or Blaylock making something out of nothing, which they've proven that they can do, we've got to show teams we can take the lid off the defense. Salute to Mateer for throwing that one to Satania, where he definitely got PI'd. Salute to Mateer for throwing a dig. Oh, we're not doing receivers and quarterback here. My bad. Running backs, it's hard to critique because, there's 8 or 9 guys hovering around 8 yards pretty much every play.
No space. Yeah, there's no, and you can't really disparage Blaylock or X-Rob. And I actually thought there were moments where Blaylock made something out of nothing. Same deal with X-Rob, man. They never were able to put a foot in the ground and get an angle and go where a guy wasn't. It just that they were fighting against bodies all night, which takes us to receiver. I have some thoughts, so I want to give you again kind of the floor on that first because we'll see what it does in these next 2 games. I think there's a story to be told in does OU take these next 2 games against teams where defensively OU is going to have a much greater advantage. The OU may have the opportunity to even take more risk with some of the play calling because you're going to go against a team like Missouri and LSU who have not been great offensively like they were a year ago, or very good offensively like they were a year ago. They're going to be at home, so you got the crowd on your side. Does Arbuckle, in hopes of this team getting into the playoff, does he try to get Mateer back in the groove with some of the stuff they were doing earlier in the season by allowing those receivers to threaten a little more, to try and push the ball down the field when they do play Missouri and LSU? So just your thoughts on the receiver play, D-Mac, and is it impacting Mateer? Is it the other way around? And then we'll obviously get to Mateer here in a little bit.
So I there used to be a time where I would say the receivers can't beat coverage, but I don't think that's the case. I think Satania's speed, which Burks hasn't, in my opinion, earned that reputation, but we don't see a lot of guys just like manning up, bump, and our guys are being covered. It's more so like, hate to say scheme, but it's scheme. It is. It totally is. We aren't manufacturing open receivers. And that's the whole idea of zone. When teams run zone, the idea is to manufacture an open window, get the receiver in it, tight end in it, running back in it, sit your ass there, ball's coming. You know when the ball's coming to you when teams are run zone. I like the way Carter played tonight. Here's the thing that's interesting to me. Cavante played well earlier in the year. Satania started coming up. Panic had a season where he was a dude making a bunch of plays. Giovanni made a good play today, but now we got Jermichael Carter. You know what that tells me? It tells me it's not a lack of talent, right? When guys get a chance, they generally are doing something with the rock. It tells me that there isn't cohesion and or chemistry within that room. Also with the Q, to have faith on those in cuts that Bama throws, the quarterback is throwing the ball to a spot. The receiver is running at depth, making a break. If it's a dig or it's a curl or it's a sit, right? Those are 3 different, the ball is going to go 3 different places, whether the quarterback says sit or curl or dig, right? Or pivot, right? If he's running a pivot, he's going to stop and then pivot out, kind of like an out kind of a thing. But by the way, we ran a dig today. Carter ran a dig. We ran a dig, which tells me that the Arbuckle's willing to run progression. I think they started to see like, hey, man, we got a pocket. They ran a dig. We completed a dig route late in the third quarter to keep the ball when we needed.
That was a big play. That was a big play.
We needed to possess the ball, right? So the receiving group, to me, we don't have any Cam Coleman, You know, even number 5 for Bama, dude's going to be a beast in the NFL because he's a route runner and he's a bigger guy. And he's fast. He's going to kill it. I think he's better than Ryan Williams, with all due respect. Ryan Williams just has a really good COD after the catch. He can kind of bounce around pretty fast, but receiver-wise, I like the other guy better. I think it's disappointing for them to be experiencing a situation where if we just had a competent offense, those guys could cook. There's a lot of guys within that group that I think could have, Branch is out there giving them boys some business. Texas gonna lose by 17 tonight, and all that. You see all that Texas propaganda this week?
Oh man,
Texas could lose 3 times, but Oklahoma, like, yeah, bro, did Oklahoma win today? Yep. Did Texas win today? Nope. Yeah. So receiving group, again, it's hard to judge. They didn't drop the ball. Satania almost fumbled the ball again, right? Or actually did fumble the ball. It's just I played in an offense where I had Josh Heupel for 2 years, and I knew if I was open, the ball's coming, or the ball's coming to the open man. And then it was a little different when Nate was in there. The offense got bogged down, and so I know those guys want more opportunities. But there is one thing I'll say: I don't know why twice a game we don't just run and go route. I don't know why we have a JV Gibson for 6'3.5. There's a lot of times where defenses are playing us in a matchup zone where they're an off man or a zone where if the guy goes deep, you carry. It's an off zone or it's a matchup zone scenario. I don't know why we don't. We did it with Satania on that one play and got the PI. I have no clue why we don't just run go routes 2 or 3 times a game. Take the ISO so it's 1v1. Try to get Giovanni, or if you like Satania or whoever, Jermichael, whoever you like. Try to get the matchup you want and toss it up there and let our guy go make a play. It was good to see us try it once. We need to do it a lot more.
It is it's an element of the playbook that OU just has not leveraged, right? And when you watch the receivers, I was watching pretty close tonight, and Bama has one of the best pass defenses in the conference. So it wasn't like they were playing scrubs, and they've really done it kind of all season.
Yeah.
I do think Burks, I think his size is hampering him a little bit. When you've seen him ball out, it has been against teams. He's had a few, but it has normally been against teams that don't have the same size and speed. When you are that size, but you're going up against a corner who's got the same thing as Eli Bowen. I mean, really, when you got a corner who is 6'1", 6'2", but also moves as fast as you, he just takes away those angles. And what feels open is not open. Now, when you're playing a Kent or when you're playing a Houston or whoever, your speed is going to stand out a little more. But when you watch him, D-Mac, he has such a hard time, especially if they get physical. He has a hard time with creating separation. It's almost like he gets in and out of his breaks and gets no ground. Whereas when you watch Satania, he comes out of his break, and this is just like the mechanics of the position. He has really perfected playing low and getting out of his breaks with a very low position. If he just hold on to the ball, man, and OU could get there, then Mateer could get it to him. He's a 1,000-yard receiver by now. But he just hasn't been able to one, get the ball to him, and then he's got to hold on to that thing. But just saw that Georgia just scored a touchdown. But OU has guys at receiver who are clearly getting enough separation. Even Kanik too, man. We said at the beginning of the year, Kanik's speed is a mismatch. Kanik has the capability to get open. He has the capability to catch the ball and do something with it. And there were games, the goal line play stands out to me. I think it was Giovanni Gibson, where if that's Baker Mayfield or if that's Kyler Murray, or even if that's, Landry Jones, that's at the goal line, that is those guys. They had quick eyes. They trusted their eyes. Landry actually navigated the pocket pretty good for not being a fast guy. You don't have to be. Yeah, sometimes, right? You have to, if you're going to throw for as many yards as he did in touchdowns, you got to have some level of pocket awareness and sense. And Mateer is not gonna touch that. But it hurts you to just not see that presence of mind and that trigger being quick. And again, we'll get to Mateer, but just the separation I feel like is there, and I feel like there are more explosive plays to be had. But thoughts on Mateer, man? That this one was good and bad. So kind of the same story along the offense. Some really good stuff, some really poor stuff. But what was your overall take on how he played?
I think you guys start the conversation by saying kudos to him for finding a way to make the necessary plays to win the game. Obviously, you have to start the winning of the game first with the defense, second with us winning the turnover margin, right? Third, our kicker making a freaking 51-yard or whatever the hell he made, right? And then you can start talking about, the touchdown that Mateer had. Here's my biggest issue. And yes, we're going to talk about, first of all, the call where you're going to run a freaking screen where you're inviting the potential for a sack when you're already in field goal range. So we're going to talk about that. I guess we'll talk about Arbuckle. But even still, Mateer, what the hell are you doing, bro? We're going to talk about the RPO play you talked about where Giovanni's open. Giovanni's open early. Satania's open late. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Both guys could have scored a touchdown on the same play. A quarterback, Superman type stuff. And of course he gets tackled. We've got to talk about the bunnies. We run the half rollout earlier in the game. It's a wide open, perfectly schemed, perfectly called play to Satania on the sideline. It's 3rd and 5. And he throws a fastball like he doesn't have any pressure, and he doesn't just throw in rhythm. Just throw the freaking ball in rhythm. He does this kind of thing
every time.
And because he does it, it's an off-target throw, and we punt, right? I posted on my Twitter, man, you can't play quarterback for OU if you can't hit the bunnies. Like, with all due respect, Paul Thompson's my dude. But, like, he struggled with bunnies. That's why people didn't like him. But he hit the ones he needed to hit. You know what I'm saying? Like, PT would hit the ones he needed to hit. Trevor Knight. You know what I'm saying? Trevor Knight would have some games, the Hypo years, where he was the OC. And they're like, come on, man. Trevor had a thing for throwing pick sixes to K-State, too, bro. It used to piss me off. But you can't miss the bunnies that are schemed up perfect, and they're in the defense we expect, and we just miss. And we miss because you're not throwing in rhythm. This guy's about to take another one. Okay, good. Those are the ones that absolutely, positively drive me crazy. And that's on the cue. Drives me crazy when there's a clean pocket and he's jittering back there for no reason. Mm-hmm. When you're jittering, you can't throw in rhythm. You can't throw in rhythm. Like if a guy breaks free and you're doing all this, you're not in position to pull the trigger. You got to set again. That's why he's jumping so many times, because he's fidgeting. It looks like he's playing double dutch. Like, bro, play quarterback, right? You playing the wrong sport, man. That's an Olympic sport. You know what I'm saying? You out here doing Olympic sports. I think that's an Olympic sport now.
Jump rope for the troops, man. There you go.
Again, it's a win, and I want to make it to the playoffs. I don't care if it's token. We're not going to be token because our defense will be good enough to travel.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm going to slide past Mateer and say I don't know what BV does. We've got to add to the scheme. If Arbuckle was like, what y'all don't know is I got more, we got to just put him out there, because what we run is such a disadvantage. Our defense is put behind the 8 ball our defense scored a touchdown 2 weeks in a row by forcing the play. They forced the play. They didn't get lucky. Those dudes forced a fumble, picked off a pass, and took it to the crib. We lose both games if our defense aren't Herculean.
Yeah.
We score on a 33-yard drive, a 21-yard drive, a 44-yard drive, and like another 30-some-yard drive. All of the times we scored a touchdown or scored points was either a turnover or a big punt return.
Yeah.
Or some type of playoff turnovers. Like, we can't go 75 yards and score a touchdown. And I think the last time we did it that way is X-Rob taking it to the house. So scheme wise, we've got to, there's no excuse if the OC brought his quarterback and they are both well seasoned. We don't have an excuse. If it was Hawkins in there, we'd have an excuse. Hawkins has another playbook that well. By this time, he should. But it's the guy who's playing with his coach who had the same playbook they ran last year. We've got to play better.
I think the most frustrating part when it comes to the play calling stuff is just it's not even the plays, because I think the QB run is great, but I also think that they almost run it, and I want to hear your thoughts. It feels like the QB run is done as kind of well, we need to get out of this bad negative situation. So then they'll run the QB run, right? It was first down and they lose 3. So you got the QB run on the 2nd and 13 to get it back to 3rd and 7. So now when the QB run would be great to have on 3rd and 7, you don't have it, right? It's almost like run that on first down, set yourself up for a good 2nd down situation. But to the Mateer point, I noticed this tonight. So there was, I want to say it was right after the pass. It was really the best of both worlds. I think it was right after the throw to Carter, where, by the way, stands in the pocket. His feet are underneath him. His feet are in line, right? Front foot opens up, going towards the target. Hips open up. He releases a beautiful ball. It's perfect, which it's like I almost want to say what happened, because when we saw him in the first week, he had the 2. I want to say, I can't remember if they were essentially post routes to the front of the end zone in the first game of the season, and he's standing in the pocket tall, opening up and throwing these things with confidence. And you almost want to say, what happened to that Mateer? What happened to the Mateer that was good with just ripping it, right? And these were 30, 40-yard passes down the field, man, that they weren't dink and dunks. And
Burks for a skinny post on the seam, Keontae's for a post at the X position. I remember him like yesterday.
Yeah, so it's like, why has that been totally eliminated from it? And we've really been pushed to this. The pass blocking was bad at times, but you've resolved that. You now have a situation where Mateer does have a clean pocket, and he's just not doing it. But I wanted to get from the pass to Carter to the very next play on the out he throws to Satania. Satania he's open. It's not a lot of separation, but it's enough separation. But the ball floats out there, and Mateer just completely loses his mechanics. His left leg opens up. He goes. It's weird what he does, and you see it anytime there is pressure. He just has not built up the confidence to be able to do it. So
there wasn't pressure on that play, Barry. We can't give him that benefit. There was no pressure.
Sure. But I think he's gotten to the point, though, D-Mac, where he feels it either way. If he feels that there is going to be a hand in his face, the mechanics wane. I think there's some things he can do with his release. I think his release, his process of getting the ball from A to B is just not as fast as it needs to be. And the footwork isn't tied in with that. So because of that, it feels like he's got to rush the throw. As soon as it's open, I got to get it out. And he just does not have the capability to do that because the mechanics are breaking down before the ball is at its launch point. His left foot, he opens up far too wide. His base is too wide on those throws. So he's actually throwing almost like an outfielder throwing the ball to home. And he just doesn't need to do that. On a throw like that, his arm is plenty strong enough to stand tall in the pocket, get your foot going in the right direction, and rip it, man. There's no reason why that ball needed to be floated out there. And then now you've stalled a drive. it was that I think it was 3rd and maybe 3rd and 2 or second. I can't remember what the exact situation
It was
was.
like 3rd and 4.5. It's like
Yeah,
34
so I can't remember. And you stall a drive that does not need to be stalled just because your mechanics. And that was a whole lot of this game, man. OU would start at the 25, start at the 30. They'd get to the positive side of the 45, and then the drive would just get killed. And it always felt like OU goes to the QB run as their get out of jail type play, right? And I don't know if you're going to be able to do that. I want to ask you just scheme,
Yep.
DMAC, and scheme as it pertains to. I know we'll do a midweek and a pregame for Mizzou, but scheme as it pertains to how do you get this team? I don't want to say over the hump because you also just went and beat the number 4 team in their home stadium on homecoming night for that coach's first loss at home. So it's a big win, right? You can't discount that. But if you're trying to win a national championship and you're at least able to secure those victories, that tells you got a shot, right? How does OU take these final 2 games and get to a spot where this offense has some kind of rhythm, some kind of identity? I'm not saying they're even going to get it done. But if you were on the team, if you were OC, if you could put on your coaching hat with this, what is an actual tangible thing that they could do or that you would try to do to get this team ready for what they want to do in the postseason?
So there's 2 ways to look at it. There's pie in the sky, and then there's actual. Pie in the sky, I would go on air 2 days a week and just in rhythm, what the play should feel like if it's in rhythm. Because nothing looks like it's. You're right. There were like 3 plays where like, wow, that looked like it was in rhythm. The dig route looked in rhythm. They ran some type of levels route. They ran like a speed out with a corner. I think the outside guy does a go where it's essentially stretching the defense with and vertically and horizontally, and we hit it. And it just looks beautiful. It looks like it's supposed to look, and then everything else looks crazy. And I think we all think he's seeing ghosts and worried about the pocket or whatever versus worrying about the play, right? So I think he needs to have 2 days of on air, and not exclusively, but like I think they need 2 10-minute periods every practice where it's just rhythm. Make the throw in rhythm. Hey, it's cover 2. It's a hole sit. Hey, it's cover 3. Get inside the backer. Hey, it's cover 1. You got to keep running, right? Like, they need to just practice that piece because there are opportunities, and you can see Bama has done it. You can just tell Bama says they identify coverage. Oh, it's cover 2. Okay, cover 2, I got to run it like this. The quarterback sees it. The receiver sees it. They run it like that. The quarterback throws it to the hole. The receiver gets to the hole. Boom. Catch the ball, right? That's number 1. Or that is pie in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the reality, Barry. We got 2 games left in the season before conference and any playoff scenarios. We've got a damn good defense, and our coach probably will not risk some type of dynamic shift knowing he's a defensive-minded coach with the defense he feels he needs to get the job done. And so they're going to try to put lipstick on a pig because it's too risky to try some outlandishly different thing. So what I think is going to happen is they're going to preach ball security the next 3 games because so long as we don't give the ball away, we can punt and play defense. I think, and this was a tactical error this game, I think all but 1 possession in the second half, we didn't run the ball on first down. Makes no sense. We can't throw, but let's call a throw on first down every possession. That makes no sense to me. Or let's run a running back delay again. Let's hike the ball, put the running back in offset and shotgun, have the ball showing to the entire defense for an entire second before the running back can do anything with it while the defense is coming. It makes no sense to me why we do that. So if I was the OC, I think that's what you asked. 1, I'd talk about ball security, make wise throws. 2, I would move from shotgun to pistol so that X-Rob and or Blaylock can get the ball going downhill and see with their eyes both ways where they should go with the rock. Number 3, continue to run power concepts with Eddie P. He's doing a really good job. And then number 4, I put this in my deal on Twitter. What pass plays does Mateer feel comfortable throwing? I like this play, coach. I want to run this half roll where I have a speed out, a corner out, and a post. I like this RPO where we run power pass. We ran power pass, I think, first play of the game. We ran RPO power pass the first play to Burks when I think they go 3 and out their first possession. Satania gets a good punt return. The very first play we run RPO power pass, we never go back to it. We never ran that play again, and you've got Burks running the in-cut slant. So it's not a bang 8 slant. It is kind of a bang 8 slant, and we hit it. He catches it. It's 13, 14-yard gain, right? So, like, what are the 4 or 5 plays that Mateer likes? And let's let him run the plays that makes him confident. I think that, he has to get that confidence back. We don't need 92 different adjustments. We need 4 or 5 concepts. And here's the last thing. Anyone in the chat who can answer this too, let me know. When is the last time we ran a play to set up another play that gave us a chunk play? Who could think? Let me give you guys an example. Today, we brought the jet sweep out of shotgun back, and he got credit for those 23 yards that Satania got on that first jet sweep. We tried to run jet sweep QB counter off of it and got murdered. Somebody tell me the last time we ran a play to set up a play that gave us a chunk. Somebody said, the Cowboys said 3 years ago, right? Yep. Good call. Good call, Big Boomer, for he's right. Satania ran the out and chair out. He did. Mm-hmm. Good call. And that one play, didn't it feel like a trick play? But you're right. Yeah. I absolutely have to give credit for that. It didn't feel like it was just in with the scheme of what we do. It felt like, we got to pull a play, kind of like you're saying. We got to pull QB run game out of our ass. We got to pull this play out of our ass. It felt like a pull them out of your ass type of play. But you're absolutely right. Good call. The out and up against Tennessee down the sideline was a big play, and we manufactured it. Barry, I'll say this, and I'll pass it back to you. Okay, let me ask this question, chat. Big Boomer, since you got me there. Name the last time we scored a touchdown that looked easy.
That wasn't a run play or X-Rob taking it. Yeah.
That's not easy. What X-Rob was doing in those plays wasn't easy. Yeah. He was big boy, folks. Name the last time, or I'll take it a step further. Name the last drive where we had a touchdown.
There you go.
When have we had a drive where it's like, oh man, we're ass kicking? This looks good. Right? Is it Temple? I think Temple, we had a couple. I mean, obviously the first 2 games of the season, but our offense is so difficult to score against everybody. Yeah. So saying that, and we're an hour and 37 minutes in, I don't think either of these games is a gimme. If anybody thinks because we beat Bama in Bama that we won't lose to Missouri and or LSU at home, you're wildin'. You're wildin'. We got to go into the Missouri game like we've got all the eggs in the basket. Missouri is a damn good defense. Their quarterback is true. I think he's worse than Mateer. Their quarterback's trash. But he's the backup. Mm-hmm. So their backup dude, true freshman, he played terrible. I think they're playing right now, but last week he played terrible. But do not think Mizzou is not going to throw the kitchen sink at us in Norman, wanting to beat us 2 years in a row. I'm telling you, Mateer has a bad day, throws a pick. Satania is trying to do too much, has a fumble. We could easily be down in that game. And LSU flat out has dudes. If we punch them in the mouth early, they'll quit. Last game of the season, let's get to the off season. We're out of there. But if we monkey around and the offense is lethargic, we could lose that game too. So I really want us to be cognizant of that. Pie in the sky. We need to get a rhythm. More realistically speaking, Barry, ball security, test the guys down the field 1v1, and finding the 3 or 4 plays that he feels comfortable throwing and rep the hell out of those.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you have a team now that's 2 losses on the year, chance to get to the college football playoff. You you got a team that could now. I mean, this is probably the first OU team in what 15 years that you can honestly say they could go to any stadium, play any team in the country, and think that they've got a shot just because of where the defense is. And with
Yeah.
Venables and time to prepare, I think it's going to be real interesting. And even if OU gets to the playoff, we'll talk about how the scheduling and all that. It may be a deal if this offense is able to turn it on even for a little bit. It could be enough, especially if you draw some good matchups. Um, Man, if I am Mateer this offseason, and this is like performance coaching me, I would do more like flash route or like reaction drills and resetting the feet and get on as much visual work and reaction work with your eyes as you possibly could. That to me, that is the deficit in his game. And if he addresses that, DMAC, along with the fundamental, like the quarterbacky stuff with like arm mechanics, footwork, whenever your footwork, and this is getting a little in the weeds on the performance stuff, but it's the thing that I see the most with him, and now I watch it just with a very a keen eye, if you will. If if your footwork is slow or not efficient, then your eyes have to be great. If your eyes are great, if your reaction time is great, your footwork doesn't have to be as good, right? If Heupel is a great example of the mechanics were solid, but they weren't like Bradford or like Jay White mechanics, right? But his eyes were so good and the pre-snap knowledge and anticipation was so good that it's a wash, right? It cancel, and he was so elite in these handful of things that it didn't matter that he wasn't elite in this one thing, right? Especially in the college game. NFL, a little different story. Your mechanics got to be a little tighter with the release, a little less time. But to me, when I'm watching Mateer, he has the tools. He has the physical makeup. He has this. Tonight was the first night. I mean, he showed it against Tennessee, but he had some wiggle. He was able to get low, make some guys miss in the hole. He was able to pick up extra yardage, and those are also very positive things. If he can marry the reaction time and the ability to see and then get his body to respond to what he sees, which was actually one of Jalen Hurts' biggest hurdles that he overcame in
Good
that
call.
offseason.
Good call.
Like Hurts really struggled with that. And I actually asked somebody today what who kind of knows who's a part of Bixby who knew what Lincoln was doing. And I'm curious, DMAC, if you saw like guys like Leach run this, but it's essentially like a narrow pocket drill and you do it with some unknown element with the receivers, or it's color coded in a way where the quarterback has to navigate a narrow. It might be dummies, it might be real players that are like banging on him or trying to move him off his base, and then the coach either calls out a color or has some kind of like tool where he's pointing like the quarterback knows where to go with the ball. And Riley ran these drills all the time when he was at Oklahoma, and it made for, because I was just curious about it. I wanted to know like what is it that he did that helped with the success. And it's things like that I do wonder sometimes if coaches in practice are doing it. Just because a guy is a college coach, it means he's a good coach, but it doesn't always mean that he's nailed down exactly what a player needs. And it may be that he sees something else and it's totally fine. But for me, looking at Mateer from a performance standpoint, he has got to get the eyes married to the footwork and the mechanics. And if he can do that, I think he'll be a good player. DMAC, Gorilla Nuts, player of the game. We are here. We're going to give that moment, chat, as we give ours. Drop who you have for Gorilla Nuts player of the game. And man, there were a lot to pick from in this one. You can go many guys, offense, defense, special teams, right? I think we'd be remiss not to mention Sandell and what he has meant. He now has the second longest. I almost don't want to say it because you don't want to jinx him when you might need it down the road. But I'll just say this. He's made a lot of consecutive kicks. And OU is very lucky to have him. And this one, you needed every single one of them. But DMAC, as kind of tradition and par for the course, we're going to go defense, and you get the floor first on this one. Who is your Gorilla Nuts player of the game?
I'm gonna digress real quick. My Gorilla Nuts player of the game is Eli Bowen. So we'll go there.
Oh
first.
Yeah, there you go.
And for the reason that I got on his ass hardcore last week when they ran the screen and he got housed, he punked the screen tonight. Go watch the first screen. But again, you guys can't tell me teams don't watch film. They run the same screen Tennessee runs, and he housed the receiver. He houses the receiver. He takes the receiver 3 yards in the backfield, blows the entire play up. Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. And I said, look, they either listen to the pod or watch film. But really, really, really good play by him. Mateer, you said that whole little thing about Mateer. If I was Mateer, this is going to be rude. I'm going to say it, though. I'm going to say it. Mateer needs to be wondering if he wants to. If he wants to go to the league, he needs to be thinking about playing in a different conference. And I'm not joking. We got to play with him this year. By the way, if I'm BV, I have serious conversations around if he's the guy I want to hitch my championship caliber defense, where at the end of next season, sorry guys, maybe I'm derailing this entire pod, but let me just put context and reality to the game that's played today. 20 years ago, he's our guy. But the game that's played today, you got Kip for one more year. Stone's going to be eligible. Jaden's going to be eligible. Ween's going to be eligible. You also got to be looking at Peyton Bowen's going to be eligible. RSJ's going to be gone. You also got to be looking at how teams make one decision at quarterback, and it changes their whole trajectory year to year.
Yep.
What if we had Gunnar Stockton? Somebody put it up there. What if we had Gunnar Stockton?
Oh, man.
All we do is swap those two. So I'm saying this, and maybe I'm being, what's that called, a hot take? Maybe it's a hot take. But in the way the game is played, what does he take a $2 million demotion? Do we give him $500,000 next year so we can cheer up the old line and get some of the guys? Because he ain't getting $3 million.
He's not getting a raise.
Whoa. S to G 13, and you got 13 in your name. Relax, bro. Can we just keep it 100 right now? We won because of the defense and turnovers. We didn't win because of our quarterback, but he's the highest paid player on the team. And he's a millionaire based upon what we paid him this year. I'm not paying him that money again. Complaining, we telling the truth. That ain't complaining, so Fax is complaining now? Nah, bro. Let's keep it 100. Over here, I don't know if you've been on our pod, but we keep it 100 over here. The caliber in which our quarterback is playing is either making our OC look not nearly as good as he is. Situational football is still its whole other issue. Or it's compounding it. Period. Oklahoma needs a quarterback who on 3rd and 5, when this play is schemed correctly, can make the throw. Oklahoma needs a quarterback that when we need to be able to drop back and throw the football, we can feel comfortable that we're at least going to make a competent attempt. Right now, we don't have it. So if I am a tier in the landscape of the game today, like for real, chat, tell me, just real talk. Are we just rolling out $3 million next year to him again based upon the performance this year in conference?
That's a fair point.
Like the dudes, the starting quarterbacks at the big time SEC schools get paid. Are we going to pay him again?
Yeah.
That's not complaining, right? I already spoke to how we win the games this year. Our HBC knows he's got He's got the goods on defense. So, right, hey, we're going to win with defense, ball security, rhythm throws. Hey, man, we got to run the ball a little bit better, right? But, like, we not paying him a tier $3 million again or whatever. We ain't paying him $1 million. Like, we can't do that. So you're talking about what he needs to do in the offseason.
Yeah.
He needs to improve dramatically these last 3 games, because here's the other thing. And by the way, Sooner Nation, this is probably the first time we could say this. We couldn't even say this with Link. We are a competent quarterback away from potentially winning the championship this year. And I ain't talking about a conference championship. If Mateer can be his ceiling, if Mateer can play at his ceiling, we could win the championship. And we stay healthy. Like, think about that, guys. I don't want to talk about because he's not as pivotal, but the quarterback changes the game for teams. But guys, if Mateer plays his best, we can win the championship. That means we're gonna bank. Let's say he doesn't. I'm knocking on wood. My desk is wood here in Cali. If he doesn't, and because we don't, it's primarily because the offense was stagnant and or incompetent, we're gonna roll him back out there again for 7 figures. Hell nah, we better not.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said, Sooner Cowboys cracks me up, bro. He always got some sarcastic stuff to say. So anyway, my bad. I saw somebody post something like, we're complaining. Guys, this is economics. I don't know if y'all know, but we're an NFL franchise with a $10 to $12 million budget with a salary cap. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
This ain't Tonka trucks. This ain't 25 years ago where the players are playing for the OU or the who the hell we play? Bama, the A on the helmet. 50% of those players are trying to get paid.
That's a great point, man.
They're trying to get paid. So, like, all I'm saying is if we bring, we recruit Stone back, we recruit Jaden back, we recruit Kip to come back, right?
Mm-hmm.
We bring on these new guys. This offensive line gels, and now we got some horses back there. Burks is leaving, but we recruit Satania back. Satania could play another year. We recruit these dudes back and we say, yeah, man, we're going to roll the same quarterback out there. Like, that would be, for the style of football that's played in 2025, that would be organizational malpractice.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Mateer, we'll pay you $500,000, but we're bringing in this other kid, and we're going to give him $1 million. So now our quarterback budget went from $3 million to 1.5. We're going to spread that money, go win the job. If they don't at least do that, it's organizational malpractice.
I mean, just look what happened with Beck. Like, does the Carson Beck thing happen?
Great point.
He wasn't an awful quarterback at Georgia. Like, there was some personal things going on and reasons why he wanted to go play in Miami. But like 20 years ago, there's no chance that happens. But now you're right. It's such big money, man, that guys will do it. And then this year you're gonna have to pay Guillory. Guillory's got to get his money. You're going to have to pay a guy like Wine has played himself into being otherwise a team right now, they'll pay Wine $750,000 to $1 million to come play for their program. So, but just for what he has done this year, I mean, even this game, he made winning plays that is worth the play he made to force the turnover is worth millions of dollars. Like that, you're totally right, man. It does OU, if they're close, which we think that they are. They have a defensive line that is best in the conference. They just beat
all their backers come back. All the
backers come back. This offensive line now looks the part physically. Foje's got to get paid. Fasusi, he's been paid, but he's sure that he's going to want to at least make what he's making and probably get a boost, right? You would love to get into the portal and shore up center. Like, think about the run game. That's a great point. If you were able to go get a quarterback who was like a guy who was really solid at like I'm not saying they have somebody but like an Arizona State or a whoever, and could pay him an up-and-coming team.
Yep.
And pay him 1.5 and then take that money and go get one big-time center and another guard. Like, think of what you Go ahead.
And a receiver.
And a big-time receiver?
And a Cam Coleman. You bring a Cam Coleman over here, a center over. You could get 3 dudes for the price of half a Mateer. Somebody said, what about Hawkins? Hawkins devalued himself by redshirting. He'll probably get, I think he got a half, or the rumors between $300 and $500K to stay. I think he would be okay sticking around for 300 to 500, just being he's a Sooner, he's a legacy. But if they don't make it to where Hawkins has a chance to take his job, at least, like, it's organizational malpractice. Mateer has not played well enough to be the starting quarterback next year, assuming he doesn't play his best football the next 3 or 4 games.
That's such a killer point. Yeah, that's such a killer point, because this is the closest. You're right, it's the closest that Oklahoma has been where they don't have to. This offseason, man, I've not even considered this. This offseason, they get to go out and say, like the Ravens have been, or like the 49ers have been when they were rolling, that they can say, man, all we need is a running back. All we need is, a player at center. Like when the Chiefs were, after they won the Super Bowl, but then didn't quite have it that next year, and then they went into that offseason, they drafted Creed, right, to shore up the line, or they go and they say all we need on defense is a ball hawk, so they go grab a honey badger. Like that is such a great point, man. Like,
can I say something about this?
So close. Go ahead. Yeah, man, this is interesting.
I'm watching Georgia, Texas. Sorry, sidebar, guys, but Texas is losing. But I'm just watching both teams queue up plays against really, 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 really good defenses, but they're queuing up plays for their guys to get open. I just wanted to mention that. I think that's so. Let's just say Arbuckle is protecting his quarterback. Let's just say Arbuckle's scheme is better than we're seeing because Mateer is not executing what they want him to be able to execute. And let's just say that's the scenario. Don't we then want a quarterback that can execute the full diversity of the playbook? And is it safe to say Mateer is near his ceilings, being as he's been in the same playbook for 3 years? So should we expect some dynamo change next year? I don't think so, right? So, I'm just saying, I think the next 3 games, I think there's pressure on him the next 3 games to put up or shut up. He earns too much money. And for the first time, Lincoln Riley never had a defense as close to ours is to make it feel like we could win. Baker's 17 team, just because they were just so ridiculous on offense. But guys, we couldn't stop Georgia's dive. They ran dive untouched to the end zone, bro.
I just watched that the other day.
Dive untouched to the end zone. How? How do you have 2 backers at second level and a safety, and there's no action? They didn't do like Navy did, where Navy ran the end around and the quarterback, and then the quarterback cut it up. They just ran dive, and Sony Michel runs 55 yards for a touchdown. This team is good enough on defense. And I think this is the other point. In the landscape we're in with college football, BV has built a culture where guys want to be Sooners. Right? A lot of you guys that are listening right now, I know you guys saw the article about David Stone, where David Stone says, I don't care what anybody else thinks. As long as I'm at OU, somebody will be running out on that field with an Oklahoma flag. That you can't create, or you can't like manufacture that. That's culture. So BV has the culture in place. BV has to sell his guys on coming back. That's going to be the sell. We got to sell our guys on coming back. The beauty is we've got culture. So guys, I think, will take a discount or just, hey, pay me my fair amount and I'll stay. I think guys will want to stay, especially with a winning season. But you got guys like Stone saying, I'm running out there with the Oklahoma flag. And then you've got Mateer. Somebody said in the comments, name somebody else at their position who plays as bad as he's playing right now and gets to keep their job. I'll wait. The other 21 starters. Peyton Bowen has a bad angle on a fade route. He gets sacked for 2 possessions. Right? Like, name someone else. And I'm not, again, I don't know if this is complaining, but like the way the game is played and these dudes make millions, what if we had any other quarterback that could competently just run the plays? What we could win the national championship this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy to say, right? Think about
Yeah.
saying that. Like we could beat Bama and Mizzou. I hope we don't make it to the conference championship. By the way, I don't know if that makes me a jerk or whatever, but like it doesn't make sense to me to have to play in that game.
You
You know
don't
what I'm
need
saying?
to.
With two losses. I think this year both teams in the SEC, assuming they're two lost teams going into the game, I think they both get in. That would just be my. But like I'd rather stay healthy. You know what I'm saying? Like let's
Yeah.
let Ole Miss play Georgia, whomever, and go in as an 11th seed or whatever seed we get. But I'm like, we could win the Natty. They should be in the locker room right now talking about we can win the Natty. The question is, can our quarterback pull his weight?
Man. That's a wild point. It's crazy that college football is to that, but you're right. Like you can't. The development side it's still there. It's still present. OU was able to do it with guys that they recruited. But golly, man, if they have a guy who comes. Let's say they recruit a quarterback. Don't they have? Is this the Bo man?
Yeah. He's coming
Yeah,
out.
this is the Bo Bentley. Like, what if Bo is able to do something in the off season, right? And they pay him just over a mil, right? Or whatever they end up paying him. And then they're able to have and spread that value other places, right? And that's essentially when you got your QB like a Russell Wilson for the Seahawks on a rookie deal. So you're able to have your Richard Shermans and your Marshawn Lynch's and your, Golden Tate and all these guys. Like, man, what an interesting conundrum that Oklahoma is going to be in. Man, let's out of respect for the fans, we'll that was a nice diversion. Let's circle back to the Gorilla Nuts
Gorilla Nuts. Yeah, my
play
bad.
of the game just for the socials. That was great, man. It's fair that I had a
Gorilla
long
Nuts.
diatribe on Mateer, but defensive Gorilla Nuts player of the game, D-Mac, who you got?
Eli Bowen. And
Yeah.
the pick six is the big one. But again, I love the way he played that screen early in the game. He played tight coverage against some really good receivers. Kudos to him stepping up, taking the challenge, and the kid loves Bama. Give me Eli.
Yeah, man. Could have gone a lot of different ways. I think in this one for me, going with Taylor Wine just feels like the obvious choice. With Eli being the other one, what at the end, OU scored 23 points. What generated those points? Eli Bowen's pick, and then Taylor Wine forcing the fumble that set up for points. That was just a monstrous play that you said it when discussing the line. He made that happen. He got around that right tackle. He was able to force him to open his hips. He was able to bend to keep his angle and have enough explosiveness and speed to get there and knock the ball loose and to have it be a luxury that you have a guy like Wine, like RMT, like Okoye coming up, who didn't play poorly. And this one, Bama's O-line is that they have guys who physically, man, are the part. And I think the reason Okoye didn't necessarily have the flashes is because Alabama just has, we talked about in the pregame, Alabama just has big, fast, athletic guys who play on the offensive line who can cancel out some of the things good that Okoye does. So in that
I didn't see
position,
Okoye play. Did he play? How many
he
snaps?
played a little bit. He did. He
Okay.
played a little bit. Yeah, not a lot. He didn't, and I think that was the case in this one. That you saw a lot of MJJ, a good chunk of PJ too, and
Played
then
good early. Tealed off later.
yeah,
PJ played
and
well early and teared off.
same deal. And then Taylor Wine. To me, the physicality of this one was just different. That Alabama was able to match some of that physicality up front, and just Okoye, it didn't really work really well for him along that defensive line. So defensively, got to give it to Wine. Offense, I will go first on this one, and only because he hasn't gotten a lot of love this year, but this guy blocked his tail off on quite a few plays. I can't tell you, DMAC, how many plays I saw him blocking his tail off, but it goes for like 2 yards because it doesn't get past the line of scrimmage. Like, so many guys, go back and watch, because once he caught that first pass, I was like, I'm gonna watch him, because I heard Gundy talking about it the other day. I've had a lot of Gundy references. He's been great on the Sports Animal, man. We need to find a way to get him on the pod. He had, I'm talking about Jermichael Carter, obviously. He had so many moments where he is blocking guys into the sideline, into the dirt, and X Rob's tackle for a 2-yard loss. It's like just the way that the game went. He's running full. He runs full speed every play. Him and Satania both are just dogs when it comes to every single play, D-Mac. They are full speed, all out. And then that's why they play a bunch. That is why those guys, regardless of how many passes Carter has caught, and I think some of that has been the product of maybe where he sits along the scheme, the progressions or the reads that they're getting to. But by product, he just has not gotten the ball a ton. In this one, though, he came up with some big catches when they needed him to. Didn't have any drops. But I'm gonna go Jermichael Carter, D-Mac, offense. Who you got? Gorilla Nuts player of the game.
Not a lot of really good choices, but I do think there's something to be said about the uptick in competition the last 2 weeks in away stadiums, playing with freshmen on the offensive line, and who just seems to be a guy who has solidified the pocket in a way where it just feels like there's so much more time in passing protection than there has been recently. I'm going for OJ. I like ELP and some of the run stuff, but we didn't open up a lot of running opportunities today. I think you made a good call with Carter stepping up as a guy who got some chances at X and made some good plays. But the offensive line is rounding into shape, and if we can manufacture some successful run and pass plays with our scheme, we could win the national championship. We literally could, which is freaking crazy to me to say now. Like, we just beat Tennessee there. There isn't a tougher place to play 2 weeks in a row than Tennessee and Austin on a Saturday night, and then Tuscaloosa. It's pretty. The second half was a night game too. That's legit. After playing Ole Miss, right, South Carolina, Auburn. I mean, like, we're not playing Texas Tech and Tulsa. The schedule's stacked. We had like the second hardest schedule in America. Says something, man. Those young guys have stepped up. I don't know what that means for Beaton Bow. I know half of you guys hate Beaton Bow. I don't know how we feel about him now that those guys are doing well. Give me Foj. I just feel like solidifying that offensive line with ELP and the other puppy has really helped. And I want to give those guys some props.
Yeah, and then of course, you gotta again mention Tate Sandell, man. Just the he is almost now just like pencil him in as like the absolute. Maybe, I mean, kicking is the ultimate gorilla nuts situation in a football game. Like, it doesn't get much more gorilla nuts than you're the one guy on the field. Everybody is watching at that one moment, and then you just see how important he is, man, with the missed field goal that Alabama had, right? Think about how big that miss is now. And he didn't connect with the ball real well, but he also was like real irritated with the snapper. I don't know if you saw the replay and it actually, the holder did a pretty solid job of getting the ball down, getting the laces right. It wasn't awful, but I'm sure the kicker sees that. And the issue is that it throws you off rhythm because you see that high snap. So you delay just a hair because you know that holder's got to get the ball down. So it just throws you off enough. And shout out to them. I wish I knew their names. Chat, hit the names. I can't remember who is snapping the ball, but OU's snaps have been so good in the kicking game that you also got to give him some love. And that's a major piece, right? If the snap isn't good, the hold's not good, and then the kick's not good. So chat, let's if you guys know who the name of the snapper, put him in the chat because he has done also a phenomenal job. D-Mac sitting right at about 2 hours, 10 minutes. Closing thoughts, man, as we wrap this thing up and OU gets prepared to go take on Missouri. Ben Anderson. Shout out Ben Anderson. Love there.
Yeah, a couple closing thoughts. Number one, 10 thoughts tomorrow. Speaking of thoughts, that should be fun. I'll be on. And Barry said, "I got a new thing, right? Thumbnail.
Yep. Yeah. You have
Cool
a new
stuff.
10 thoughts thumbnail. Yep.
So I'll see you guys tomorrow for that. Another thought I have right now is, how about South Carolina? Does Beamer make it through the day? How do you lose that game? The fix had to be in. I watched that entire game in the second half. They literally gave the game away. But good win by us, man. And just walking and talking this through with you guys, 129 of you guys. I think like 174 were on when we finished Gorilla Nuts. Salute to you guys for sticking around. Salute to the team. I just think we can't speak enough to the impact Brent Venables has had on this team this season. That's with all the openings, if we were stupid enough to not want him, obviously now there's no way he's probably going to get a raise just because of all these guys getting raises. But could you imagine how fast somebody else would snatch him up with all these openings? By the way, big time programs all over the place have openings, right? And so I'm glad we're in a good place with our HBC. I think Arbuckles is on a 2-year guarantee with a couple of some. So I think for sure next season we're going to have Arbuckle. But I just don't think in the landscape of the game now we can just hitch our wagon to Mateer. And if he wants to take a serious pay cut so we can go get some other players and keep some other players, I'm fine with that. But economically, it'll be curious to see what happens in the offseason. But here I am. I'm just a believer, guys. I just have blind faith sometimes. And when I love something, I love hard. And when I want something, I try my best. I'm talking national championship. Somebody tell me why I shouldn't.
Yeah.
Does that mean I'm going to have to get on my treadmill every damn game? Because the treadmill's got Sooner Magic, guys. I'm here to tell you. The treadmill is a Sooner Magic machine.
By the end of the season, you're going to be ready to play next season.
Bro, I'm in good shape. I ran 2 miles today. I ran 2 miles. I ran about 70 miles last month. But needless to say, proud of the team, man. I do think there's something to be said about when you win a game, not to be too hypercritical over and beyond kind of the tactical, strategic aspect of the game. Those guys found a way to win. They're going to have a good time. They're going to get back to Norman, and there's going to be some folks there ready to, take good care of them, which I'm super excited for them for. It's good for our program to be talked in these types of conversations. The residual impact is, mark my words, assuming we play well the next 2 weeks. Watch what the portal looks like this offseason. Guys are going to want to come to OU and watch what happens with recruiting. Recruiting has already turned the corner, and we've got a ton of people who are wanting to flip to us. This is a microwave generation. They are with whatever's hot, and it takes 10 seconds to get hot in a microwave. So I wouldn't be surprised if some things start to work in our favor in terms of recruiting in the portal. Appreciate you guys for being on. Longest pod we've done in probably 2 years.
It's been a minute, man. Yeah, I mean, just think about, not to belabor the point, but, you got a defense like this. What if you get a Caleb Downs kind of guy who's like, man, I want to come to Oklahoma, or and you're a player on one of these teams that's close, right? Because if you think about the way Alabama was able to sustain success and stay where they're at, was because Saban leaves. They go and get a guy who's a hot commodity in DeBoer. You've got some infrastructure there already that is just second to none. So guys want to come and play. And Ohio State now, with the success they have had, Ryan Day, maintaining that. Same kind of deal, man, where guys want to go there, so it ends up being sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Georgia has had not the same level of success, but even they've been able to go get guys, which is why this year again they're in a position where they're a good football team, right? A&M, little bit different story. That was, I watched the end of that thing. That's a sad deal for Beamer, man.
They lost the game in the third quarter, though. They didn't lose the game in the fourth quarter. They
Yeah.
3-and-out, score. He gave the game away. Anyway, I don't want to talk about them. They suck. Losers.
Yeah.
Freaking losers.
So, anyways, man, good stuff. Guys, go over to OU Insider, ouinsider.com. Me and D-Mac were over there today during the game thread, just having fun, chiming in. Man, one of the things I'll say about the board, it's a good spot and things get heated, but, really respectful, a lot of good football talk, and the recruiting content is excellent. I think Parker and Brandon and their team do because we're not a recruiting pod. We're not like the dig deep, find the nuggets about random guy who wants to come to Oklahoma. But if there's something newsworthy, especially in the off season, we'll for sure talk about it. But recruiting's on an uptick, and if you are someone who wants to know about that, or you just want to get more educated in what's going on with this team this year, they're posting interviews. We have content that we're putting up there and posting on a regular basis. So, man, go check it out. They do a wonderful job. And Brandon and Parker are just genuinely good guys in a space where, there's a lot of egos. There's a lot of folks who, don't want to, and are not always doing things with, kind-handed, if you will. So just fantastic stuff. But guys, thank you for watching. Make sure to go follow the social media. Damian is at D_Mac13 on X. Find me at BWise Fitness, letter B, WISE Fitness. Like, share the video, subscribe, do all those wonderful things. Thank you for watching Sooner Nation. We will see you soon.